3, 2, 1.
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Hello to those of you who are feeling called to this reading in particular, Mystery Reading number 1002. My name is Elizabeth, and before getting into this reading, if you are a reoccurring viewer, you enjoy my work and would like to help support it, you can do so by sticking around and hitting that subscribe button down below and ringing the notification bell next to it if you feel called to. And if you do feel called to subscribe and stick around, welcome, and thank you very much for your support, as well as your presence during this reading. So starting with interpreting the number 1002, with at least the way that I interpret the numbers. The number 1 is about trusting yourself, and very rarely, if not only once or twice, or a handful of times in the past, I've also interpreted it as believing in yourself, both trusting and believing in yourself, having faith in what you can do, what you can create. And I want to say what's possible for you. But when I say that, I think of it more as like co-creation. Playing your part and you and the universe working together to create. I do believe that as long as you play your part, the universe will play its part. And when it seems like it doesn't, I do believe that there is deeper meaning for that, even if it's unknown. It could be important for somebody to be patient with the process of something that you're trying to create or manifest. This makes trusting yourself all the more important. Trusting in what you believe is possible. Because if you don't trust it, you don't believe in it, why would you keep trying? So maybe there is this inner conflict going on within you, where one part of you is, you have a lot of faith, you trust in the possibility of something a lot, but another part of you is not so faithful, maybe scared or nervous, and having faith is scary. I'm being reminded of when I say sometimes it wouldn't be called faith if it wasn't about faith. And sometimes the proof that we need is there. We just don't see it. At least not yet. So just as a general message, this number I feel is encouragement for you to trust yourself, believe in yourself, as well as trust and believe in the process of something that you're working on or investing in, especially if it's over a long period of time. 1 second. The music that I usually listen to in one of my headphones stopped playing, and I'm not sure why, but right now it doesn't really matter. I do think that it could somehow be a part of the message for this reading, though. I was listening to a meditation that is about helping with releasing frustration or even sorrow. And sorrow is an interesting one, because I was mostly looking for it for frustration, but I actually started listening to like oldies music. There's this live stream called Nemo's Dreamscape in order to help me sleep. I'm trying something new. And I learned recently that the feeling that it makes me have, this feeling of melancholy or nostalgia, it can also be about sorrow. So maybe you are feeling that as well. Not just frustration, but also grief, or just wishing for a time when things were a certain way, maybe easier, made you feel better. I do think maybe the reason why it stopped to get my attention is to encourage you to use types of meditations and how they might be helpful for you to find more peace and more trust and more faith. Perhaps there is something frustrating or something sorrowful that is making you feel hopeless. And it feels like it's important to release whatever that is. Find closure with it, find peace with it. Maybe it could be helpful for someone as well to mentally prepare yourself to be patient for a long period of time. Maybe somehow tricking your mind into being comfortable with having to wait. It does sound and feel like practicing and being more present is what could be really helpful. And I saw the number 654, which is a sign to trust that everything happens for a reason. And you take that however it resonates for you. I just feel that there is a lot of encouragement here for you to release something emotionally, mentally, and maybe even spiritually, to stop it from standing in your way, from staying committed and manifesting something. Moving on into the zeros, there are 2 zeros, and that number for me is usually about cycles and beginnings and endings. It's pretty much just about change. Maybe it does feel like there is a cycle that you keep running through, like you keep hitting a wall. I know that like sometimes whenever we try to commit to things, we'll be like really motivated and committed for a little while, but then we'll want to give up. And then we'll feel motivated again and we'll try it again, and then we'll give up. Like it's just over and over again, and maybe you could be experiencing that. And the first thing I want to say is you're not alone. It's very hard for a lot of people, including myself at one point, to be committed to what we believe in, to what we want. But it isn't impossible. I think it's not only important to understand the psychological aspect that could make it harder for you to stay committed with the lack of trust or the lack of faith. I think it could be that there needs to be a better balance between work and play, investing in what you really want and then taking a break from it. Now, for me personally, I can get really hyper-focused on things, and it can be hard to put the work down. But I've gotten better at it, and if it resonates for you, you can get better at it too, at relaxing and letting yourself have fun. You know, instead of just being focused all the time on hoping and believing and trusting and working. You know? It could definitely be nice for somebody to just give themselves some room to breathe. You don't have to rush. All you need to do is be realistic, be patient, and be fair to yourself. At least that's what it seems like to me in a general reading here. And the last number is the number 2. Well, at least before we add up the numbers, but the number 2 can be about quite a few different things for me. It can be confirmation of a significant relationship or situation that's on your mind that it feels like I've been talking about, someone or something that you want to commit to. And honestly, if you're struggling to commit to someone or something, think if it's not, the lack of faith or the lack of trust, I think it's really important to ask yourself, well, what is it? I think there's a lot of encouragement here for you to slow down and to look inward for some answers that could be very useful right now, that you need to help you keep moving forward, or even to pivot if you feel like you shouldn't, commit to this person or this thing anymore. It really just depends on, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you believe. And I want to emphasize, be careful of what you believe. Make sure your beliefs are about truth and authenticity, not lies and deception. And if you don't know the outcome of something, telling yourself it's the worst outcome, like knowing that for sure, or feeling like you know that for sure, I feel like that is, well, either your intuition is recognizing a pattern, or that's a lie. Could even be the same with the best possible outcome. That could be a lie too. I feel like it's important for somebody to have a healthier relationship or perspective or approach when it comes to approaching the unknown. It's about having faith, but also being open to if something doesn't work out. For me personally, I would take it as it's not meant to be if something doesn't work out, and to trust that even though it didn't last, it still was in my life for a reason. It was meant to teach me something or show me something about myself and the world around me. I believe that there is deeper meaning in everything, especially with the negative things that disappoint us or make us sad or angry, or make us have negative, heavy feelings. You could feel called to repurpose or redirect this negativity into something more constructive or productive, or something that you are more passionate about, instead of using it to be mean to yourself and sabotage your own future. Number 2 can also be about choices and prioritizing what means the most to you. This is why it's important to really reflect on how you're feeling right now. Does it mean the most to you to keep going, or to pivot and move on to something else? I do think that there could be an important decision here that somebody needs to make, whether it's walking away or holding on. Yeah, I'm really feeling that inner conflict. Either commit to walking away or commit to holding on. And you get to decide that. I think there's another way that I interpret the number 2, but I can't think of it for a reason. I was going to say for some reason, but I'll trust that I can't think of it for a reason. It did make me think about the 2 of Wands, though, which that number is about planning and preparing to expand or to grow. So maybe something is holding you back from doing that, from continuing to move forward with an opportunity that does feel like it aligns with what you are passionate about. What is standing in the way of an opportunity that you really want, that really inspires you? Once you get past the planning and the preparation, making the decisions on how you should move forward, that's when you move into the building and the growing and expanding. You just need to make a choice, it feels like, and stick to it. Adding up these numbers, 1 plus 0 is still 1, plus 2 is 3. Wow, really thinking of the 3 of Wands there. Because when I was talking about an opportunity, I was thinking about the Ace of Wands, and then we said the 2 of Wands. I was talking about growing and expanding, literally the 3 of Wands. The number is about communication, self-expression, healing and growing, and making a commitment over a long period of time. That number could be a very strong confirmation for someone to commit and to really look at what is holding you back from doing that. But be patient with yourself and trying to understand, where you're struggling. Because you are struggling, and that's okay. All that matters is that you don't give up and you keep trying to figure out what's going on. Because you deserve that kind of attention and care from yourself. You deserve to be there for yourself. And if you're on a healing journey, this number 3 could definitely be confirmation of that. And with the self-expression and communication, this really just feels like confirmation as well, to really, really reflect on how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're believing, and be honest with yourself about that. And either accept it or change it. Change what you're feeling or thinking or believing. Because that is something we do have control over. Our own thoughts. Sometimes not our own feelings, because things happen. But we have control over how we move on from it with the way that we think and what we believe. And it could be important for somebody to take ownership of that. And I just saw the number 654 again while recording the second part of this video, which is just another sign to trust that everything happens for a reason. You feel the way that you do for a reason. And I'm just really feeling like this reading is here to encourage you to understand yourself and what that reason is. Because you have control and power over how it continues to affect you and your decisions and your ability to commit and to have faith and to trust and all that stuff. I'm going to move into the cards portion of this reading now, starting with the Magical Dogs Tarot. I'm just going to draw a couple of these cards. Nope. Alright, so I have the Nine of Wands in reverse. It appears that you are feeling very exhausted. The fact that this is a Wands card, I'm really feeling frustration here. And I'm just really thinking about whenever I said something about giving yourself some space and some room, some time to breathe, to think, to reflect, to take a break. Maybe have some fun if you're up for it. Number 9 is about purpose and helping the world release what no longer works. Remember that no matter how you move forward, it is a reflection of humanity as a whole, because it does have an impact on the collective and the people around you, how you move forward. So it's important that you move forward with love and patience instead of destruction. Second card. Wow. Talk about patience. We have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. It's very clear here that there is something that you want to commit to long term, that you want to create, but you're really, really struggling with patience, and it's making you frustrated. And it's okay to be frustrated, maybe even a little bit frustrated at yourself, but don't take it too far. Let yourself make mistakes. Like, I'm feeling why it's important for you to trust that everything happens for a reason, that these delays, these setbacks are happening for a reason. This is a chance or an opportunity for you to grow and to learn and maybe even to heal. You may need to change the way that you're looking at things, or maybe change the way that you're looking at yourself and what's possible. Actually, number 7 is about wisdom and expanding your consciousness and your awareness and finding deeper meaning. There is deeper meaning within you and what you're feeling. And again, I just feel like this is a lot of encouragement for you to look inward, maybe to meditate and reflect, so you can better understand how you're thinking and believing and even feeling, so you can have more control over your own thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. You can't solve a problem if you don't understand it, you know? I'm going to pull one card from these box of cards. So I have the 5 of Wands. It says, communicate clearly with others. Do not let your feelings control you. First, talking about the number 5, that number is about change and transformation. I feel like it's confirmation for you to transform internally. You could already be going through some changes because of what we talked about with the 2 zeros. But the changes that I feel like you're being called to make or embrace, I don't think they're just outside of you. They're also within you, changing the way that you think, how you believe, how you feel. The don't let your feelings control you feels like confirmation of taking ownership of what's going on with your inner world. It's important to recognize that you are not a slave to your own mind, or your own heart, or your own soul. Communicating clearly with others also reminds me, it's very interesting, because I feel like the 5 is about confirming internal changes along with external changes, but then communicate clearly with others is confirming external communication. After we've already talked about being honest with yourself, communicating clearly with yourself. So I feel like it's very possible that it's important to really connect with yourself at this time, so that way it will be easier to connect with others, to communicate with others. The 5 of Wands, let me see. The 5 of Wands to me kind of feels like crossed wires in a way. Like, again, it's just confirming the internal conflict and potentially conflict outside of you. So this really just feels like a whole message to focus on yourself, find peace within yourself, and then address other people or changes or situations outside of yourself. It really could be important for somebody to take some space right now. I'm going to finish up this reading by drawing out a card from the Ancestors Spirit Oracle card. See what your ancestors want for you right now. Interesting. Have courage, says strength, fearlessness, and warrior. This could be about having the courage, or for somebody, maybe it's about having the courage to say no, to move on, and to be honest about what you want. But it could also be about having the courage, depending on your situation, to have trust and faith. I do believe that our strength comes from having faith within ourselves and in the universe, with our ability to create, and with the universe to create with us. I just saw the number 333 on the timer. Confirmation of what I already said about the number 3 earlier. Communicating, expressing yourself, healing and growing, maybe evolving, this inner transformation, and making a long-term commitment. I do think that there is a long-term commitment here to make, and it's the one with yourself, even if there's some other commitment you might feel like you want to walk away from. I feel in general this card is about having the courage to honor what you actually want, whether you want to stay committed or you want to pivot and commit to someone or something else. It's okay to honor yourself and respect yourself. I just want to say it again. It's very important that you give yourself some space and time to reflect on how you truly feel, what you're actually thinking, and what you really believe. And allow those thoughts, feelings, and beliefs to determine how you should move forward.